Okay, folks, I'm back again with another lesson on the RRtrack program. I had a fellow YouTuber message me thanking me for the great informative video that I had done before as far as setting up a default file. It greatly helped him out a lot. But he did have a couple of questions, and I misunderstood what he was asking before, but now I understand what he was asking. In that previous video, I mentioned about, creating the layers, and I had created a layer called walls. It was my bad, excuse me, it was my bad that I failed to mention about using that layer so that I could create the walls, and I did not show how to create the walls. So here I am. I've got my screen size reduced, and so what I'm going to do is show how to create these walls. The first thing I'm going to do is go down here to my layers, and I'm going to select the layer walls. All right, so now anything that I put on the screen is going to be on that layer. The next thing I'm going to do is, and it's kind of like user's choice, you could go with 6-inch setting on the snap setting, or you could use the 2-inch setting. I'm going to use the 2-inch setting for right now, just for the purposes of this demonstration. The next thing we want to do, once we have those things set, is we want to go up here to the top to our Objects menu. And then we want to select Basic Shapes. And as you can see in this menu here, we've got quite a few things that we can select. Just an outlined rectangle, a filled rectangle, this X-filled rectangle, which I've never used that at all, the outlined circle, filled circle, and so on. For the purposes of this, for creating our walls, we're going to use the filled rectangle. So now at this point, what I do is I move over here to like my top left, and I can see, and hopefully you may not be able to see it in this video, but if you have the program, you can see these dots that are over here. And I just simply start my thing there, click and your left mouse button and hold it, and then just drag it on out to where you want it, and then let go. There's a 4-inch wide by however long that is. And now to draw my other walls, I simply do the same thing. I come over here, select the filled rectangle, drag it on down. Now I can take and highlight that and say duplicate that wall to bring it down here. And then do the same thing over here. Take and duplicate that and bring it over here. There's the 4 walls. This obviously is a smaller sized room, but I'm just decreasing the size of this to make it easier to see. But there would be basically the 4 walls of your room. Now you might say, all right, I need to put a doorway. There's got to be a doorway to the room. Well, that's going to be simple to do. Let me take and zoom into this bottom right corner here. I'm going to take this wall and I'm going to drag it back. Okay. Then I'm going to take and create another rectangular object. And I'm going to create a wall that comes out, well, let's say 6 inches from the edge of the inside edge of the wall here. You could even probably go to 4 inches or whatever that distance might be. If your door was right here on your room and it's going to swing open this way, all right, you can measure that distance in your room and create your wall to that distance, whatever it may be. Then with the 2-inch setting, again, I come up and I use the filled rectangle, and I only create a 2-inch wide piece right there. Then I can right click on it and say rotate, and then rotate it like say 45 degrees. Now that rotated the wrong way that I wanted, but it rotated on that corner. But I can change my snap setting here a little bit to move this up to make it more appropriate to show there's the doorway to the room. So now when I zoom back out to everything, it shows there's the door to the room. All right. So that's how you create a door. As far as windows are concerned, you can kind of do the same thing. You can take and drag this over here. Say duplicate that because I'm going to need a wall that's over here. Okay. And let's make this window, let's say 3 feet wide. So we've got that. Now what I do is I just simply take and go down to my mouse setting, or my snap settings rather. I go to 1-inch increments. Now I'm going to zoom in on this a lot further, make it easier to see. Using the 1-inch increments, I take and I select an outlined rectangle, and then I just draw an outlined rectangle in here. I went over a little too far. There we go. Now I've got an outlined rectangle in there to represent that's where my window's at. Now if you go up to the options menu, you can see where you have these grid settings in here. You can select no grid at all. And now you can see there's just the outlined rectangle that I have in there for the window. And take and zoom back out here. So we've got our doorway, and then there we have a window. Now, another thing that you can do with this, that when you go to your 3D view, okay, you will notice that the walls are very thin. They aren't tall, but you're going to have your track, and it's going to have elevation to it and so on. So let's take and elevate our walls as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in this case, everything that I have on the screen has been drawn in the layer called walls. So I'm just going to come up to my edit menu and then come down and say select all in layer, then select the layer walls. Say OK, and as you can see, it just highlighted everything. Now I can go up to the action menu, come down to where it says extrude. And then with the extrude, I can now enter in, highlight that box right there, or you can use the arrows on there as a spin box, but I just, I'm just used to doing it this way. And just type in, let's say, 18 inches, and then say OK. And then, of course, it'll tell you, all of the items. Yes, I want all of the items extruded 18 inches. Now when I go to my 3D view, you can see that my walls are now extruded upwards. Of course, this thing's rotated around the other way, but my window looks black. Well, that part, you can't really help too much with that, I don't think. Let's try something here. I'm going to highlight that and say properties. I'm going to say color. And let's go to the color none and see what happens here. Okay, if you go to the 3D view, well, it turns it white. So there isn't a whole lot, but at least even if you selected that and it has, oh, I didn't want to select that. Select the properties and just go back here to say select the color of it. You can select, even a light gray, whatever, okay? And I actually moved it out of position here. There we go. But even in the 3D view, it's going to look gray. So that part you can't be helped But if you take and you have the color, just leave the color the way it was, which I believe was black, you can at least see where the window's at. The 3D view, fine, it shows up in black. Well, so be it. It really doesn't hurt anything, but at least on your drawing, you can see there's where the window's at. So I can turn my grid back on by going up to the options menu, selecting 12-inch grid, and there we are back to this. Now, once this is created, you can even, and let's imagine this being a part of your basement. And so running lengthwise here, there's a beam that goes across, for a support beam for your house. But right in the middle of the room, there's a support column. Well, okay, fine. Well, let's go up to our objects menu again. Select basic shapes. We can select filled circle. Find the location of where it's at. Now, I probably just went way too big with that, but there you are. There's a circle there. You can then take and highlight this and move this thing around to wherever you want, just so that you have it positioned. Once you take the measurements of your basement, showing from this wall out to where the center of this post is, and from this wall to the center of the post, you can then position this circle right there, and even just take and highlight that and just say action, extrude that one also 18 inches. So now when you go to your 3D view, you can see there's your column right there for your support column. Okay. You can do the same thing with stairs. If it's a basement and you've got you got to have a stairway somewheres. Okay. It may not be in the area where you're putting your layout, but if you draw the entire basement, you're going to want to draw in the stairs so that you understand where they're at. Again, let's use the 2-inch snap setting. Go up to our objects, basic shapes, a filled rectangle. So this is a room, so we've got the window in there, but let's imagine that the window's not there, but our stairway starts up here, it goes down this way. Well, okay, fine. Let's put in a 10-inch wide by a 36-inch long, because stair treads are on average are 36 inches wide. Some older homes, it might be only 30 inches wide. Okay, so there's your first stair tread. Well, then, there's your other stair tread, and then your next stair tread, until you've got all of the stair treads all the way out to where it needs to go to, okay, and have it located in the room where it needs to be. But that's something that you're going to have to measure for your particular situation, and then you can create these stair treads in there. You can even change the height of them, and the thickness of it. So let's just to show you that, I'm going to say action extrude, and I'm going to say I want it 1.5 inches. Okay, all three of those. So all three of these are now 1.5 inches thick. Well, I'm going to take this stair tread and I'm going to go up here to the action menu and select change height. Now your average stair tread is typically about 7.5 inches, but that's not important for what you're creating here. So you could just say for that stair tread, make it 8 inches, okay? Then your next stair tread is going to be 8 inches above that, or in other words, at 16 inches. So you go up to your action menu, say change height, enter in 16 inches, and there you have it. Now when you go to your 3D view, you can actually see the steps in there going downhill. Like I said, this is obviously scaled down. It's not a full-size basement in any way, shape, or form. But it's just to demonstrate, what you can do with this program. So you can create your walls, create your doors, and you can even make the opening of your door to exactly, position it wherever you want. Make the width of the door, whatever the width is of your door. Put your windows in. Put a support column in wherever they may be. You might have more than one support column that you can put in. You can even put your stairs in. So, and then when it comes to things like a washer and a dryer and a furnace, I just simply use the objects menu and the filled rectangle, and I just say, all right, right there, that's the size. Measure the width and length of your furnace, or the footprint of your furnace, and just leave that as a rectangle, and then put a label, put a text label on there. Again, use the objects menu, special objects, your text menu, and then from here, put your border in there and so on. Select your font. Okay. And then just simply type in, furnace. Say okay, and position it right there. So now you've got that labeled so that you know that that's what that is. Do the same thing with the round objects. Okay, use the filled circle. Come on out here. Put a round object in there for where your water heater's at. So this is how you can use the objects menu. Is meant for things like this. That's what the objects menu is meant for, not for creating the bench work. You create your bench work in the terrain view. So I hope this has been a lot of help and helps a lot of people out, because I know somebody had asked about it and I misunderstood them, but now that I understand what they were asking, I hope this helps you out. So have a great day and happy railroading.